Chickens are one of the most popular animals that individuals will get when they're looking to raise their own food or start their own homestead. Probably because they lay eggs, and a lot of people lay eggs. But if you're thinking about getting your own chickens, adding them to your backyard or your homestead, your farm, then I definitely think there's a few essential items that are necessary for getting started with raising chickens. And these are some items that I've learned about because we've had chickens for a couple of years now, as well as done a lot of research on. So I'm picking out all of my favorite key items that I think are truly need to have items for raising your own backyard chickens. And the first thing to think about before you even get started with raising chickens is, what type of breeds do you actually want? Now, when you purchase chickens, they're usually going to be sent to you as little chicks, or you could go to any chicken days at local mills, Tractor Supply, and they'll probably sell their little baby chicks, and they're super duper cute. Most oftentimes, you probably won't need an incubator to incubate your own chicks, although we have used the Nurture Right 360, which we've had a lot of great success with hatching out our quails primarily. We haven't really used it for any of our chickens, but if you do have a rooster, then you might want to actually have your own fertile eggs that you can incubate. And depending on the scale of incubation, I think the Nurture Right's really good for anyone getting started. You can put around 18 chicken eggs in there, and I've heard really great reviews for hatching out chicken eggs. Again, we haven't used it for that, but if you're using an incubator, that's a good getting started incubator, I believe. But for everyone else, you're most likely going to be getting your chicks as chicks. And it's really important to think about the types of breeds that you want. Each different type of chicken breed is going to have a few different things about them. So it's going to be, what do they actually look like when they're adults? What are their egg colors going to be? Do you want to have a beautiful egg carton of different colors? That's something to think about. Personality is going to be a large role by breed. We have some golden comets that are very personable birds. They honestly come running at me. I would probably consider them a lap chicken if I could name it. They would come into our house and sit on my lap on the couch if they were allowed inside. And then we have other chickens like our Plymouth Rock that more of wanderers, go up in trees, kind of do their own thing. But what we really like about them also is they're both very hardy birds. Living in a zone 7 in the Northeast, it does get quite cold in the winter, so having a bird that is hardier was really something that we looked at to make sure that they'd be able to weather the cold weather. But if you're in a place like Florida, this probably doesn't matter to you. Depending on the amount of space you have, or if you're even going to let them free range, it might not matter that they're wandering around, but different things to think about when you think about your breed and what you want. So when you actually go to the store or you purchase your own chicks, you're then going to bring them home and add them to a brooder. A brooder is going to be a safe, warm space for your little chicks. Now, when your chicks are little, they need a nice, warm space. Their feathers haven't fully formed, and especially if it's maybe the winter or cold when you're getting them, they're really going to need this. The essential items here is you're going to need a big bin. We actually keep our chicks in a nice large stock tank. We'll put some base, some shavings on the bottom. You can also use paper shreds at the bottom. If they're really small, you can maybe use some paper towel at the beginning, but then we'll use like a mulch shaving on top of that, which we'll just kind of layer on top every week as they grow up. And then once they're big enough, we'll put them into our coop, which is coming soon, some details about that. But inside the brooder, it's going to be really important that you have a water and a feeder. You're providing them enough food and water to grow nice, healthy, and strong. Water, you're going to want unlimited, free, fresh water. And honestly, I would say get a pretty good size water so you don't have to feed it up every single day. Maybe get something that starts off, you can put some marbles around the edge, they aren't able to drown in it, and then as they get out, you can kind of take those out and just have a nice good size watering system. feed, you're gonna wanna give them a nice grower chick feed. We really like the feed that we have. It's by Nature Serve, and it's really nice. It's medicated, so it provides an extra pack of goodies for our chicks, and we get them a nice little crumble to start off on since they are so tiny at the beginning. Outside of their food and water, you're going to need that heat source. We use a heat light and we plug it into something that's called an Inkbird, which actually helps regulate the temperature. So if it gets too hot, it will turn off. If it's cold, then it will stay on and keep it at the temperature it needs to be. And then every week, usually we'll lower that temperature. You can easily program that in, lower the temperatures, and be good to go with continuing to raise your little chickies. Once your chicks are old enough that they are fully feathered and they can go into their own coop, that's when you're gonna need to think about the coop. And you probably should be thinking about the coop before you even need one. First off, thinking about where is your coop going to be? Before we even started this video, I probably should have brought up the fact at the very beginning that make sure that your town does allow chicks, and do they allow hens? Or do they allow roosters? Do they allow both? Think about that, do some research, because if they don't, you're gonna have to get rid of them. I just would make sure that it's all okay. There's a lot of other animals you can get that we talk about that are quieter, that are usually allowed, but a lot of places do now allow for hens, so I definitely suggest getting them. If you're going to have roosters, you might want to put your coop in a section that has some sound barrier to it, just so it doesn't annoy any of your neighbors and they won't call the town and get you in trouble. But beyond that, pick a place that's going to be nice, easy for you to get to in the cold, in the snow, but far enough that it isn't going to make it smell when you're on your back patio. Those are kind of my logistics for placement there. And in regards to the coop, we actually used an old barn stall that we had, so we kind of made our own, but I think there are amazing coops on the market today that are really well priced. We have a friend that's thinking about getting just a small amount of chickens so that every morning they can have fresh eggs, and they have a newborn that they want to have grow up with chickens. So I'm really excited for them, and I actually just showed them an amazing coop that has a beautiful run attached, so all of their chicks are contained in a nice area. They have nice nest boxes, which are going to be essential for when your chickens are older. They can lay eggs and make it easy for you to get in daily, grab the eggs out, and a coop that's going to be easy to clean and nice and contained and safe for your chickens at night, in the winter, away from predators. When you're thinking about which coop to get, as I said, you're definitely going to want to make sure that there are enough nest boxes for your chickens. If you have more than one hen, which you most likely will, because chicken math, you will get more than one hen. I definitely suggest getting multiple nest boxes or a coop that's going to be able to hold all the chickens you want, and it will already have the nest boxes built in. You're again going to need to fiddling that with bedding, so you're definitely going to need some bedding in there, and perches are going to be vital as well. Chickens really need perches. That's where they sleep. It's a nice raised place off of the ground that's safe for them. And for the amount of chickens you have, there's enough space so that they're not elbows touching. So you're definitely going to want to factor that into the coop that you purchase, or that you're building enough of that. Depending on the amount of space that you have in your yard, you're going to want to think about if you want to keep them caged in a run. A run's going to be really important so they can go outside, get some fresh air, get some vitamin D, which is going to help add some more nutrients into their eggs. But you can also free range, which is what we do here. We have a nice caged in section for them. So in the morning and night, they can go out there. In the winter, we'll usually keep them just in the run, so it's a little bit safer. And then every other time of year, we let them free range, get full range of everything so that they can eat up some extra goodies. But it does mean that they could wander into neighbors' yards, which you might not want to have. In regards to raising chickens, you need to think about what types of breeds you're really going to want. If you're going to incubate them, the brooder setup that you'll need, They're essential items of food, water, feeders, waterers, heat, and then their adult life. Thinking about their coop, their nest boxes, their perches, and again, maybe some adult size feeders, waterers, or anything you can do to help automate the systems. I love automation. I think automation is key in your success and the better well-being of your animals because it just makes raising them easier, and you can pay more attention to giving them extra goodies and treats and training them instead of having to worry about watering and feeding them. But those are really all the essentials that I think you need to get started with raising chickens, and I wish you the best of luck. As I said, we have so many great videos on chickens, so you might want to check out this playlist that we have. But otherwise, I'll see you guys again next time. Bye.